I am childhood and special education.
Early childhood education and childhood education dual major.
I want to teach, hopefully, sophomores in high school.
I would either want to teach first grade or fifth grade. First grade because I think it's a great age, and fifth grade because that was my favorite year.
Preschool, kindergarten, and first grade, and yeah, that's it. Mostly because I feel like kids at that age, you see the most progress in how they change their motor function, their like greater motor function, their fine motor function, just like in general, it like skyrockets during those ages, and I think that it's incredibly interesting to watch. Teaching was originally a male-dominated profession. People usually think it still is, but it is not. It is now a female-dominated profession. Originally, education was not required, but in 1642, the Massachusetts Bay Colony created a law called the Old Deluder-Satan Law, where they established grammar schools in a town if they had more than 50 families. If a town had more than 100 families, they had to have like a proper school. Where it was forced by law that people had to attend schools, but that still didn't keep women in school as long as it kept men. So boys were in school from what we refer to as like kindergarten up until probably 8th grade, whereas women were in school for maybe a year or two, not nearly as long as men, and they focused more on like home skills like sewing and cooking and cleaning, where men focused more on reading and writing, and later on they focused more on science and like college level, or not college level, but college readiness classes, kind of like education we have today. Whereas women didn't. They were more of like the home ec kind of class, but like that was all their education. It was just home ec. And so in that kind of perspective, men were teachers and women were able to start being teachers. They started going to what were known as normal schools, which were basically colleges to teach you how to teach. Fun fact, SUNY Geneseo was originally established as a 2-year normal school.
I think that teaching can sometimes be seen as a feminine career because it's a lot about nurturing and with children, and you have to be vulnerable, so I think a lot of times that's why men maybe don't want to go into this career.
Well, teaching is generally a female-dominated industry. Which you can see if you go into any general school, any public school, any private school, you'll find more female teachers than men. And even in like college, in the School of Education, there are significantly more female teacher candidates than there are male teacher candidates. And that's pretty cool. Normal school. Now it's a college. But back then, in like colonial times, when women were teachers, they were fired or dismissed if they got married or were pregnant, because they were basically only useful until they had a man. Good times. Now, things have kind of switched in a sense, where like this male-driven education has now benefited women more, where like back then boys were in school longer than girls, and they were seen as smarter and more intelligent and more ready for like this kind of education. Whereas now it's shown, like at least we've spoken in like my classes, that boys don't do as well in these classes that have been established for them since colonial era, whereas like women do better in these classes because girls are more suited to thinking abstractly, like think math, abstract, whereas boys are more suited to thinking like concrete, like hands-on. If you were doing math, like think of the blocks you used in elementary school to put together and account how many blocks you had, and if you had 5 blocks here and 2 blocks here, how many does that make? Boys were more suited to that kind of approach, where girls were just like in their head, they could do it. So now women are more prevalent in education, and it's now turning to be more of a female dominated profession, but there is still a wage gap between male teachers and female teachers, and teachers in general haven't gotten much of an increase of their wage since colonial era, which is why teaching is not for those who want to make a lot of money, but those who want to help make the world learn. There you go, because you make a turn, make a learn. So teachers now, and like very recently, are striking to get better working conditions in schools, where they're teaching in schools that have ceiling tiles falling out, or like they don't have heat in the winter and they don't have air conditioning in the summer. Like it's unfit conditions for students to learn, as well as they don't have the supplies, they don't have the resources. Their books are like 7 editions behind, so they're completely obsolete. So they've been striking to do that, and also to like get paid better. And it has been a countrywide effort. There have been strikes all over. Literally just Google teacher strikes 2018, teacher strikes 2017, teacher strikes 2019. You will find hundreds. And that's because they just need better conditions for students to learn. But also, you know, the pay needs to get better because it's barely living. Probably, but not like consciously. I know I had like maybe 2 male teachers growing up, and I loved them, but I don't know, I kind of more as a woman identified with my female teachers, so I can see how that pushed me towards wanting to teach.
And you think that would have been a subconscious thing?
Yes.
One of my senior male teacher was an English teacher, and he kind of like inspired me to go into English, I guess. So maybe a little bit.
I could see myself, and there was a lot of representation for me, so I could easily see myself.